Here comes a new challenger!
Hello everyone, and welcome to Not Everyone Is Here. In today's episode, we're going to be covering Streets of Rage, and we'll be covering a few beat-em-ups along the way as well. But I wanted to cover this one first, and there's a reason for that. But before we do, what is Streets of Rage? Well, it's Sega's beat-em-up franchise. Ironically, you'd think that Capcom having one too, that theirs would be called Streets of Rage, since they have a whole series called Street Fighter. But no, this title is dedicated to Sega and Sega alone, which, by the way, has had a sequel in quite a long time if I recall correctly, which was Streets of Rage 4. I'm not a big fan of beat-em-ups nowadays. Even when I was younger, they were alright, but never really my thing. I did have fun with them, but at the end of the day I was never great with them, and Streets of Rage is no different. My personal experience with this series is minimalistic, yet I know its importance. It was one of the big hitters, alongside a few others that came out long after, like, say, Final Fight, and even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, which I know was very popular. But if I recall correctly, memory serves, then that would mean that Streets of Rage was before those, making it one of the first beat-em-ups. Though then again, there are many things you can call beat-em-ups if you really want to. But when it comes down to it, the main style of you and potentially a second, even more players just go on a side-scrolling screen and beat up enemies in waves. There's usually an elevator segment too. It's kind of a trope. And there are a lot of games that take inspiration from this style of design, one of the most popular of which being Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the movie The Game. Quite a long name, but still, it is a genre worth discussing. Now, like I said, I'll be covering other series in this sort of genre, but I want to start with Streets of Rage because in my opinion, the main protagonist, Axel Stone, between all the ones I'll be covering, even though he's not the one I personally want, I do think is possibly the most deserving out of the bunch. Now that's not to say he's my favorite, definitely not. There is one character I would really love to see in Smash when it comes to this type of genre. But despite my own personal feelings for the character I would like, I understand that sometimes there are better and more logical choices. Ones that even, I would say, are kind of on a pedestal higher than whatever I would want. Though, hey, in the comments, take a guess. What video game beat-em-up character do you think I would want? Make your guess in the comments below, and only one name, please. Don't say multiple, or I won't even tell you if you're right. I mean, there's no prize at the end, outside of just being right, but hey, wouldn't it be more fun? When it comes to the genre as a whole, it kind of surprises me that it's barely represented in Smash, if I recall correctly. Maybe I'm just not into Nintendo's huge laundry list of series that it has, but I know one thing's for sure, that there is one series that's a beat-em-up that's in Smash, and that's River City Ransom. And that's, from what I understand, the only beat-em-up game series that is represented. Now, that's kind of crazy to me. I mean, beat-em-ups were a huge part of the arcades back then. I mean, Capcom even has a whole collection dedicated to their classic beat-em-up titles. So, to me, it's kind of strange that Sakurai hasn't really acknowledged this branch of, well, gaming. I mean, sure, at the end of the day, you could argue that beat-em-ups are just fighting games, both AI and some scrolling in between, but I wouldn't really say that. Beat-em-ups are in their own league, sort of their own genre, and, well, to me, as I said, it's just sort of strange that Sakurai never wanted to tackle it as a fighter, especially with all the unique mechanics that a character like, say, Axel Stone could have. And considering the legacy of beat-em-up series, it's just sort of strange to me that there are none represented through spirits or anything like that. I mean, think about it. You know, we have a ton of fighting games represented, such as Virtual Fighter, Tekken, obviously the most recent, Street Fighter, of course, Fatal Fury, you know, just SNK has a bunch of fighting games that are represented in Smash, and even ARMS, if you want to count that, along with whatever game Sakupon comes from. But the point is, there are a lot of fighting game representation, yet beat-em-ups seem to get no love. It's so strange, especially since some of the most influential games were from that NES era and were in themselves beat-em-ups. But I'll be covering those series at a later point. Trust me, I do know about a bunch of these series, but please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think of a beat 'em up character? Like I said, for me, I think it'd be great, but, well, that's just me. And we all have our own different opinions, and hey, let me know your guess as to the character I would like to see. The character in question will be covered in my next Not Everyone Is Here, so I hope to see a guest by then. With that all being said, please take care of yourselves, and as always, have an amazing rest of your day. Hopefully we get something beat 'em up related, and speaking of beat 'em up, you should beat up that subscribe button because it's 1,000 subscribers. Okay, I'm done with the shelling part. Anyways, peace.
I'm coming through, partner, we can do this right. You're the fire, I'm the wind tonight. Burning dread, haha.